Evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. How is everybody doing out there? I hope you had a great weekend. Just a reminder that you are listening to us on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key out of Noonan, Georgia. And this is a podcast that is broadcasted on WQEE 5 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. And it is a great show. It covers local sports to Columbus, Georgia, and I talk national sports. But we do have a great show for you. I'm going to get into the Columbus Chattahoochee and the Chattahoochee Monsters. Both had big weekends, and we have the playoffs in the SBL coming up this week, including a game today as the Chattahoochee Monsters will take on the Atlanta Crackers. First pitch 7:05 at historic Golden Park. And also the Columbus Chattahoochee get the number one overall seed in the Sun Belt Baseball Conference. The Atlanta Braves do take 2 out of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers as they're facing a former Braves pitcher, Julio Teheran, today. Ozzie Albies hits a 3-1 blast in the 8th inning. And the Atlanta Braves are 11.5 above the Phillies and the Marlins. They have the best record in the National League. And not bad, for a team that did lose 4 straight. They bounced back. They did get the win against the Diamondbacks. They have won 2 out of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers. A tough road trip. Now they travel to Fenway to take on the Boston Red Sox. Then they're back at Truist Park taking on the same Milwaukee Brewers that they faced over the weekend. And the Major League Baseball trade deadline is approaching August the 1st. Are the Braves going to make a move at the trade deadline? Do they need to get a new starting pitcher in the rotation? Max Fried is pitching at the minor leagues. He's trying to rehab that injury, trying to come back. And once he is back and healthy, the Braves are going to be just unstoppable in the postseason. What they want to try to do is they want to try to rest their players. They ran out of juice last year when they faced the Phillies in the divisional round. And the Phillies, a team with 87 wins, ended up making it to the World Series. The Braves don't want to do that this year. They want to rest their starters, get home field advantage, and make a deep run into the postseason and hopefully back to the World Series like they did in 2021. Another team that is got a hot start is the Tampa Bay Rays, but they simmered a little bit. They got a little bit of a losing streak, and now the Baltimore Orioles are in first place in the AL East. And it's really going to be a 2-team race in the AL East. Right now, it is the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles have a 2-game lead over the Rays. The Rays, unfortunately, have lost 2 straight. The Baltimore Orioles have won 2 straight. They have a 61-38 record. The Tampa Bay Rays with a 61-42 record in the American League. And over in the National League, the Atlanta Braves with a 64-34 record. They are 11.5 above the Phillies and the Marlins. The Milwaukee Brewers have a half-game lead over the Cincinnati Reds with a 55-45 record. Over in the NL West, the Dodgers, they have an incredible 7 out of 10 that they've won. They have got a 4-game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. So the wildcard teams right now, the Cincinnati Reds are leading the wildcard teams. They would be the number 4 seed, followed by the Arizona Diamondbacks, who would be the number 5 seed, and then the San Francisco Giants would be the number 6 seed. So there's still a lot to go on. I mean, we just had the All-Star break. We got the second half of Major League Baseball that's approaching, and we also have the MLB trade deadline. We also have NFL training camps, as the rookies have already reported. A lot of the veterans are starting to report this week. So we have a lot to cover here on the show, including NFL preseason, as I cannot believe it's already here. It's going to be here August the 3rd on Thursday, the Hall of Fame game between the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. We'll get to see the debut of Aaron Rodgers in a New York Jets uniform, and we will also see the New York Jets on Hard Knocks this year. You can catch that on Max, formerly HBO Max. But Hard Knocks, we know that they are going to feature just a fascinating story with Aaron Rodgers trying to get the Jets into the postseason for the first time since 2010. It's been a while since the New York Jets have been in the postseason. They have the longest postseason drought of any NFL franchise, and it's going to be nice to see. We also have media days in high school football that is shortly approaching. August the 4th is the media days for Muskogee County. And most of those teams are going to be in action on August the 17th, August the 18th. That weekend is shortly approaching. I will have all my high school football coverage. I'll preview week 9 this week, and I will also get into some of the coaches that I'm planning on having on the show as well. And then I plan on having several of the members of the newly formed outdoor team in Columbus. Fountain City FC is going to make its debut in the United Premier Soccer League. So I'm excited to have several members of Fountain City FC here on the show. And this is also my debut on YouTube Live. So everybody that's watching on YouTube Live, make sure that you subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. I mean, it helps the show. If you support the show, it really helps what I like to do here because, I want to have a good show, and I'm also broadcasting it on the radio station. And for those of you who are wondering, this is episode 669, just in case you are keeping score at home. I always like saying that. So much stuff to get into here on the show. Like I talked about, we have the SBL playoffs. Right now, you got 2 wildcard games. The number 3 seed Brookhaven Bucks, they are taking on the number 6 seed Atlanta Blues at Oglethorpe University. First pitch, 6:35. And that is going to be Monday night. And then the Chattahoochee Monsters going to be hosting the Atlanta Crackers. First pitch, 7:05 at historic Golden Park Monday night. Get your tickets. Come out and support the Chattahoochee Monsters, who got the number 4 seed. Just an improbable weekend against the Gainesville Gold Diggers. As it started out with the Columbus Chattahoots getting the 5-0 win over the Brookhaven Bucks on Friday night. They honored Chattahoots pitcher Brian Trepanier. They retired his number 29 jersey. No Chattahoots team is going to have number 29 as he goes out as just a fan favorite, one of the top pitchers in the Chattahoots organization of all time, playing in his final regular season game for the Columbus Chattahoots. The Shaw graduate, the Northern Little League alumnus, played at Augusta University. Brian Trepanier, who's also been a guest here on the show. Just congratulations to Brian Trepanier. So the Columbus Chattahoots, they won 5-0 on Friday night. On Saturday night, they were in a battle with the Brookhaven Bucks. They lose the game 9-7, but it was a valiant effort toward the end. And so they were scoreboard watching. In fact, they were in attendance at Golden Park Sunday night as they were rooting for the Chattahoochee Monsters to sweep the Gainesville Gold Diggers. And on Sunday in the doubleheader, that is exactly what the Chattahoochee Monsters did. Starting with the first game, they were down to their final out. Bottom of the 7th inning, down 5-4. They were able to score 2 runs. I'm trying to get my words straight here. They were able to score 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning on a throwing error, and they win it in walk-off fashion. And so they were able to win game 1. They had to hold on and win game 2. I mean, they were trailing for most of the game in game 2 as signs of life for the Chattahoochee Monsters as they were trailing 2-1. The Monsters had a 3-2 lead. They put up 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. They hold on for the 7-3 victory. And it was an incredible performance by Justin Vilas that had 2 RBIs in the game. And how about the Chattahoochee Monsters that helped the Columbus Chattahoots get the number 1 seed? And they also get to host a playoff game, which will take place Monday night at historic Golden Park against the Atlanta Crackers. If they're able to win that game, they will play the Columbus Chatahoots in the semifinals, and all three games will be at historic Golden Park. So what they have is in the semifinals, they have the 1-1-1 playoff format. Game 1 is at the home team's ballpark. So game 1 will be Friday night, July the 28th at historic Golden Park. The Columbus Chatahoots are going to take on the winner of the Chattahoochee Monsters and the Atlanta Crackers. Game 2 will be at the visiting home ballpark. So if it is the Crackers, it's going to be up at Kennesaw State. If it is the Monsters, it will be back at Golden Park, but it will be a home game for the Chattahoochee Monsters, and then a game 3, if necessary, on Sunday. The winner of that game will play in the SBL Championship, which will take place the following weekend. So the Columbus Chattahoots, first time in SBL history that they get the overall number 1 seed. Congratulations to Coach Steve Smith and his coaching staff and the players, and well-deserved. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Columbus Chattahoots and the Chattahoochee Monsters in the SBL playoffs. And good luck to both teams. And hopefully we'll get to see them play off against each other in the playoffs in the semifinals. Now, I don't know if the playoff format reseeds if, let's say, the 6th seed Atlanta Blues upset the Brookhaven Bucks. I don't know if the SBL rules will allow them to reseed. If that's the case, then the Columbus Chattahoots would play the Atlanta Blues and the Chattahoochee Monsters would play the Gainesville Gold Diggers, but I'm not sure if they do have a reseeding. Hey, I thank you for your support. We're live on YouTube as well. Subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts as I continue to grow my audience. As I've been doing this podcast for about 3 years now, it's been such a pleasure, just everybody allowing me to be available to do a podcast. I was trying to struggle with my words there. But we have such a great time doing this podcast. And if you want to be a guest on the show, make sure that you inbox me. I would love to get you on the show. It is always great when I have multiple guests. And I hope that everybody is able to listen to the show. All right. With that being said, what we are going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take that first commercial break. But when we come back, I'm going to break down more sports stories. You're listening to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Happy to be here, and I hope you're enjoying the show. This is on Facebook Live, also on YouTube, as I'm making my YouTube debut here on the Sports Beat. I'm so excited. I mean, and nothing is bigger than YouTube when it comes to, getting your brand out there and using a platform. I mean, everybody uses YouTube. My kids use YouTube. I mean, I'm on YouTube. I was on YouTube way back in the day, back in 2009, when I had a show called The Richard Holdridge Show. And it was very small, it was very small time. They're still out there, but, I didn't really use a platform and I didn't really advertise myself. But now I'm on multiple platforms and I'm also on a radio station. I got the podcast equipment. I've got the guests lined up. I try to do a great show because I want to give you the content that you deserve to hear local to the Chattahoochee Valley. Hey, we got high school football coming up. We got college football coming up. We just had SEC Media Days, and I know that the media is picking Georgia to win the East and picking Alabama to win the West. No shocker, LSU is picked to finish second. Tennessee is picked to finish second in the SEC East. I'm not really shocked that South Carolina is projected to finish third in the SEC East. It's going to be a fight to the finish. I'm excited about college football in general. the SEC, the ACC, which ACC Media Days is happening this week. The Big 12. What's the Big 12 going to look like with Houston, UCF, BYU, and Cincinnati? And then what is the Big 10 going to look like the final year before they welcome USC and UCLA into the conference? But there's just so much to talk about. But what I got to do now is I got to go ahead and sign off here on the broadcast. Don't forget that you can catch an episode of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge Monday through Friday on WQEE 99.1 FM The Key out of Noonan. I am on the radio station from 2 to 3. If you want to listen to the show, 2 to 3, I've got a great show on Monday. I'm going to have New Mexico Lightning midfielder and captain Tanya Chavez. We are going to talk everything Women's World Cup. We're going to break down that game. I guess you could call it a disappointing match between the United States and Vietnam. They only won 3-0. I mean, they were comparing this team to the team that beat Thailand in 2019, 13-0. They only beat Vietnam 3-0. We're going to break down that matchup. We're going to talk about the other matchups in the FIFA Women's World Cup, which is taking place right now in Australia and New Zealand. Something I'm excited about because, being the voice of the Columbus Rapids indoor soccer team, we also fielded a men and a women's team. And the women's team, they're big fans of the Women's World Cup as well. And so I know that I want to try to give them as much coverage of the Women's World Cup that's going on right now. Lionel Messi did make his MLS debut. It was not a regular MLS matchup. It was a Cup championship because the MLS does not start back up until August the 20th. And that is where Inter Miami will take on Charlotte FC. As I was trying to keep tabs on what Lionel Messi has done, he had just an incredible penalty kick, and he was able to knock it in the back of the net. And Lionel Messi is really going to sell out soccer stadiums in the United States. Ticket prices are tripled, quadrupled, $400 to see Lionel Messi play in an MLS match. That is absolutely incredible. I got a lot of stuff to talk about here on the show, but I do have to sign off. Thank you, everybody, for listening once again. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and I'm out of here. Don't forget, listen to the show tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a 5-star review. Bye, everybody.